Hello, my name is Teneisha and I am here with Plaid for our craft break. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be talking about football. Specifically, we're going to be using our plant pokes for food marks for your amazing spread on game day. So I'm only using a couple colors here and our little plant pokes, and you can see this really fun design that I did and a whole bunch of different dips. Of course, you could also do this with a cheese platter, meats, whatever you have going on. You can make these fun little signs for your food, and it's much easier than it looks. So what we're going to do is, again, we're using these plant pokes, and this is what they look like. This is what they look like outside of the package. It's just an unfinished wood. I believe this is a laser cut, so it does have that dark edge. It's nice and durable, but unsealed, which is okay for what we are doing. So what I like to start with is a home decor chalk, and that's why this one is sitting here with our FolkArt paints. So home decor chalk is in our FolkArt line, and what it does in this sense is it seals your dry wood so that when you paint your next layer, your paint isn't going to get sucked into that wood. You're making a nice layer on top, a base layer to paint on. So I've got my little working paints back here, and you can use any light color. This one in particular is sheepskin, which is sort of an off-white. And what I do to base coat this, easy peasy, I just do one coat on this plant poke, and you can go all the way down, or you can leave that on the bottom there. It's up to you. I did go all the way down on mine because I painted mine green all the way down. So there you go. That was super fast, and that is a base coated in chalk paint. Chalk paint dries really quickly, so this will be dry in seconds, honestly. But what I'm going to do is I have a step out here. So now what I did was I took my base coated plant poke. I'm just going to keep calling them plant poke because that's what we call them here in the studio. And I take a piece of Scotch tape, just regular old Scotch tape, and I go corner to corner like so, and that will mark off your green line. So this one was painted earlier, and it still has the tape on it, and I'm going to show you that nice crisp line when I take this tape off. And you can use painter's tape as well. I often prefer Scotch tape. It comes off a bit easier. So that's what it looks like, that nice sharp line, and that is, I used lime green FolkArt. That's what that bottle looks like. And so I did 2 coats of lime green there just to create that shape, and that's still my base coat on the other side. And then the next step, again, I just have a step out to show you these, is we just take any black. I'm using a licorice, and go ahead and fill in that space. So now you have black and green, and now we can start putting on the details. So those are sort of your base coats. And now for the details, I'm going to get a new plate here. And I'm just going to use a FolkArt white. And the one I'm using is wicker white, but really any white will do for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this white, and you can, when you're doing fine line like this, sometimes the paint can be a little thick just for doing these really fine detail lines. So I like to just put one drop of water in there, smooth it out a little bit. And what I'm going to do, I'm using a really teeny tiny brush. You can see that. This is a 10-0 liner brush, and I'm going to put my pinky out like this, and I'm going to slide my pinky across.
That's a good technique.
Yeah, it really helps to keep that line straight. And I will not lie, occasionally you have to go over it a few times or fix your mistakes because those straight, thin lines are not easy.
Yeah, but you know, these football field lines, they're painted on grass. They're never going to be perfectly.
That's true.
They're never going to be perfectly smooth.
That's true. All right, so you saw that was pretty easy. I just did 2 little strokes there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create, and actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take one of these off of my bowl so that we can see what it's going to look like. It'll kind of give us a reference.
If you guys are watching at home, let us know where you're watching from and let us know what your team is.
Oh, that's a good question.
We have Kathy White here from Auburn, Alabama. They are the Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
War Eagle.
All right.
See how many Alabama fans we can upset by saying that.
And I'm ashamed to say I do not know our colleges here in Atlanta, but I do know that we are the Falcons, yes?
Yeah, we certainly are.
That is the pro team, right?
That
NFL.
is.
All right, so then we're creating these field lines. And the way we do that and the way you create this, oh gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? This not point of reference. What am I trying to say, Stephen?
Teneisha, I wish I could tell you, bud.
So it looks like the field is going away from you.
Oh, like a perspective?
Perspective,
Yeah,
there we go. The way you do that is you start with a straight line and then you bring your lines away from that straight line. So we're just showing that, just like so. And this little bit thinned out paint is gliding perfectly. That's exactly what I want. So we're sort of fanning out those lines so that they look like you're looking up the field.
What is your favorite dip?
Ooh, my favorite dip.
Yeah.
That's tough. I love an onion dip.
Mm-hmm. That's the correct answer.
With potato chips.
We have a comment from Sarah on our YouTube stream.
Okay.
She says, hello from North Carolina. Could these be used as plant stakes if sealed, and do you sell these online? So we do sell these on plaidonline.com, and in the description of the video you can find a link to that. We have it in there somewhere. Teneisha, can you talk a little bit about sealing these and having them used for plants?
Yeah, so we do use them for plant pokes quite a bit. And if you actually go on our website, I believe we have a number of videos and instructions and such that use them as plant pokes. You can seal them. We have a number of Mod Podge products that would work well for that. You could use indoor-outdoor Mod Podge. And that would give you a really good seal for outdoor projects. And that would stand up to all kinds of weather.
Yeah, this is kind of the odd project out. Like, we haven't really used these for like food markers or anything.
Yeah.
Too much.
I think you're right. I think we usually use them for plants. Or some sort of normally outdoor project, I would say.
Don't leave your onion dip outdoors, though.
Yeah.
It's not going to go well.
Or your queso.
No.
I love all dips. Dips are delicious. All right, so I just put in the little 50-yard line. And I must have been using a thinner brush up here, but that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a little football, which may seem complicated, but it's really not. So this is the FolkArt Cinnamon that I'm using. It's a nice, very warm, light to medium brown, I would say.
Sarah says that they just bought the indoor-outdoor Mod Podge last week, so that's
Oh,
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
That is perfect. And you can use those on your pots as well to protect your pots if you put a little painting on them or anything like that. All right, so I'm just going to create, and it probably won't be perfect the first time, but that's all right. We're going to keep fussing with it. A little football shape. Make it a little fatter there. And you can get really technical and do the right amount of laces, which I did not happen to look up. I think I put 5 or 6 on each of mine.
Believe it or not, we don't have a football to reference in the craft studio.
In the
either.
crafting studio, we do not. We do not. All right, and I did note when I was making these earlier that the footballs do take a couple of coats. So it's okay if you still see the white and green underneath there. We're gonna add another coat to that. And if you want to avoid that, if you want to just make it really quick, you could do your little football in chalk paint first, and then you would just have one more coat to put on it in your color. All right, and then you know what I did not bring with me, Stephen, is a pencil.
Pencil. Let's see if I can find one for you.
Thank you. And so you can see we are getting here, and with the pencil what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create 2, whoop, you know, it looks like I can do it with my brush. We're going to create 2 straight lines. Thank you. And we are going to create our letters in between there. And so I used a sort of a blocky font. I looked up football fonts, and one that came up was something that was called something like University. And so I went for that, but of course, it's not the easiest thing in the world to paint a tiny font.
Kathy says that there are actually 8 stitches across a football.
8?
I think that's what she's saying.
Okay, well I was sort of close.
Yeah.
6 is
I
not
think
too
people can tell what it is. We just have
bad.
a unique football.
Maybe the real fans might notice. All right, so what's another dip I can do, or another food? What if I say like barbecue? We'll say BBQ.
That's a good one.
So I'm really just sort of sketching this out.
And yeah, your font does remind me like the back of a jersey, so it's funny that you said you looked that up.
Yeah,
beforehand.
I was trying. Oops, that's going to be too big. Where's my little brush? And if you're really good at lettering, you can definitely use a liner brush and hand letter these. You know, you could also treat it like a chalkboard and use a chalk marker. That would work well. But I like to make things difficult because I'm not that great at lettering. So what I like to do is just kind of put the shapes in there and then work with that. And the nice thing about these, which I noticed when I was making these, is that the nice thing about doing white on black is that there's so much room for error. You really can, and I mean that in a good way. You can go back and just fix up all your mistakes either in white or black, and it covers it right up.
That's a good point.
It's just very easy. There's not a ton of detail
Oh,
that
man.
you're fussing with.
Sarah just dropped a great list of dips.
Oh, wow, okay.
Artichoke, queso, brie, spinach. She says, now I'm hungry too. Me too, Sarah.
I love a brie. I love an artichoke. The only dips that I don't usually mess with are like crab dips.
Yeah, I like crab dips. I like artichoke too. My grandma makes a really good artichoke dip. Can't beat it.
All right, so let's put on our second football coat. And one trick I like to do when you're painting anything is to turn it upside down, and then you can kind of see where the shape has some faults that you didn't see when it was right side up. All right, now that's good for that color. Now let's see, so let's fill in a little bit more of our, whoops, brush is a little wet. And it is tricky, like I said, doing these paints on wood. They can get just a little, I don't know, it can catch a little bit. So you can either A, sand your wood, which is probably what I should have done, or you can do what I'm doing, which is watering down that paint just a teeny tiny bit to glide. And you could also use a thinner if that's your jam. All right, so we've gotten a little fat on those lines, so I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to go back in with the black and clean that up, and you'll see what I mean by that, by being able to clean that up. And let's see. So now I'm going to pull out my darker brown, which is bark brown. It's still, I would say, a medium brown. And I'm just going to give the teeniest, tiniest shadow on the bottom, on the left side, I guess. It's not really the bottom, but the left side of the football. And really, you can barely see it, but it does make a difference in the final look. And you can spread that out a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this white, and a good chunk of brown, of my lighter brown, cinnamon brown, I believe it was. And we're just going to make a lighter highlight color. Offload my brush a good bit, and we're going to do on the other side to give that a bit of a highlight. And you can kind of bring that highlight in a little bit more, almost to the center there. And now we're starting to look a little bit more three-dimensional, which is nice. All right, now we're going to go in, still using this teeny tiny brush, and we're going to create the parts that make it really look like a football. So we're going to cap those ends. I'm going to do a slightly curved line.
You think we can fit 8 in there?
Oh, let's see.
Make Kathy proud.
Okay, let's see. And every time I'm using a tiny brush, I wish it was tinier. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There it is.
We did it. All right, so now, and again, if you're good at lettering, you may be able to do this a bit differently than I do. Oh goodness, I can't get any of the bottom. There we go. And I'm just using FolkArt Licorice, but you can use any black. Should do. And I'm just taking my square brush here, and I'm going to go back in. Hopefully I'm not in the way of the camera. I'm going to go back in, and I'm just going to thin these out on the outside. I'm going to take this line and make those bottoms square. And you want a good amount of paint on your brush to do this. We're just going to square those up. Should have practiced a Q before I did this. I'm not sure that looks much like a Q. I think people will get it though with the BB, right?
Right.
What else would it be?
You know, especially if they're looking at barbecue sauce in a bowl. I think hopefully they'll get the idea.
You would think.
And Kathy is proud of you for fitting 8 in there. She said she did it. Go Dogs.
Ah,
So
nice.
I think somebody's a Georgia graduate.
That's right, dogs. The Bulldogs, right?
It's funny, you brought it up and I couldn't think of it either. I think Georgia Tech is like the Yellow Jackets or something.
Oh, okay, that makes
I
sense.
think that's right.
If anyone knows in the comments,
Yeah.
let us know how dumb we are.
Nice.
See if I can make this look more like a Q. There we go. That's looking more like a Q.
Yeah, man.
Not bad for doing it live on camera, right?
Right. think people can see the difference too. Nelda says that makes a big difference. So
Yeah. So I think,
it really shows what you were saying about having black and white being two good colors
Yes.
to clean up with. Like
Yeah.
the contrast makes it super easy.
and so my final step would be, and I won't do this on camera because it's probably a little boring, but my final step would be what I did with these ones was I went in and I cleaned up those edges. And so basically I put green where it should be green, black where it should be black, so that when someone's standing above it, they are seeing that the
of-
color continue.
Yeah, it's
and
like
of
a
course,
seamless thing.
Yeah, and you could go ahead and paint the backside. You could even make these double-sided and come up with other words so that you could use them next time, or maybe like fall ones, what have you. Halloween, this would be an easy flip for Halloween. Maybe you could do that, you know, a nice purple and black. But that is what those look like, and I think that's a fun, simple project. I was able to do 5 of these this morning in maybe 2 hours, maybe less. So really I could sort of set them up like a what? Like a little factory, a little painting factory.
Yeah, exactly.
and
assembly line.
Assembly line, that's the word I was looking for. And did these all at once. And you know, again, it's only just a couple of colors. And really you could get away with even less colors because you could do your shadow and your highlight with just the white and black instead of using those other browns. So yeah, I hope that you guys had fun during our craft break, and I hope that you guys have fun during your football parties or tailgating, however you do it. And we